I have an American Standard Freedom 80 Comfort Hours furnace, and also the air conditioner is also American Standard. And what's happening is the indoor unit is coming in, the fan is running, but the outdoor condenser is not starting. So in this video I'm going to show how I fixed it and few things that you can check on your condenser unit as well as the indoor unit to make sure that this works. So the first thing is, this is 16 years old and I have never changed the condenser capacitor on there, so that is probably the prime suspect, and I'm going to check the outside unit first. So this is the outdoor unit. It's an American Standard also, Allegiance 15. That's a 15 SEER 3.5 ton unit, so this is pretty big, and we had it for 16 years now. I had never replaced the capacitor, so we had owned it for 16 years. So I'm guessing that the capacitor might be bad. So I'm going to take these panels off and look inside to see what's going on. So there are a bunch of screws. These are very easy to remove. So 3 will remove this bottom panel, and then I can remove the top panel. Once I've opened it up, I could see that a mouse had made a nest right over here, and all the stuff in there was in the nest. It smells really bad either way. So I see that couple of things here is it had chewed on this wire and it is pretty much bare, so I have to fix that. But in this case I'm going to test the capacitor. So this unit is an American Standard unit, and it is around 16 years old, back from 2006. We are in 2022 in September. So this capacitor I had never changed, and we had owned the house for quite a while, and I'm pretty sure this has not been changed. So I'm going to test this capacitor. So there is a little screw here, and this is going to release the capacitor here. The first thing I should do is, there is 240 volts right here, so you should be very careful in working when you have voltage. I'm going to remove this cover here, and there is a breaker switch, so you have to be careful. Don't touch these leads. So just pull this out, and this is the circuit breaker, or this is the circuit breaker that will prevent the current to flow into the unit. To test the capacitor, and this capacitor it's pretty, it has been pretty used. I'm sure that this might be one of the causes. And I have this multimeter. I will put a link, and these are very cheap on Amazon. It's within like $24 to $30, and this is the capacitor symbol. So I'm going to turn it on and set it to capacitor, and I'm going to measure. But before I measure it, I should take a screwdriver and release any of these, because the capacitor can hold current. So if you touch the two holes in there, it should discharge it. Now for the capacitor, and I will put a link to this capacitor also. This is a 50 microfarad capacitor, and it has a number to it. It's a G capacitor. Without the flash it's much easier. You can see it's a G capacitor with 97 F5211 number, and it has 50 microfarads. The farads is the measure of capacitance, and also it has a 440 volt AC. So this capacitor should give me close to 50 microfarad. So sometimes it takes a little while for the capacitor display here, because it will charge the capacitor and then it measures how much capacitance is there. So this one is showing 46.58 microfarads. So what I did was I just touched the two terminals there, and it doesn't matter which terminal you touch with red or black. This is showing me 46.65 microfarads, which is a little lower than you want it, but this has been 16 years. I might change the capacitor at some point, but looks like this is pretty much close. So it has 50 microfarads. It should be 50 microfarads plus minus 6%. So with 6% of 50, it should be around 47 to 53. But this is close enough. I think the capacitor is probably going to work still. I'm going to put the leads back on. Just there are some terminals which are a little dirty, so I'm trying to see which ones I can put the leads back on. There, and it should be pretty tight. And then I'm going to try to start it now and see what happens. I'm going to put the breaker back in, and there might be a spark, which is fine. Just make sure you don't touch any of those. And there is a safety cover right here. It'll still start the outdoor unit. So something else is wrong. I'm going to check inside, and what I've done is I have spread these wires out so that they are not shorting each other. I will put some tape on this to cover this up. I used some black tape, and I have taped. Now this is the wire that is coming from the furnace, so this is a low voltage wire. You can work on it. These are not going to impact you, but be careful touching these. So I'm going to test the voltage over here just to make sure that there is voltage over here. I'm going to turn this to AC voltage. So, and I'm going to try the voltage between these two terminals here. That's where the power is coming in. So if I touch these two, you can see there is 240 volts. So that is good. So there is power coming in, and these should also be 240 volts. So right now you can see that there is no power. That means there is no power coming from the furnace, and once the power comes, this will get activated, and this should connect the two. So I'm going to go to the furnace now and check it out if anything is wrong on the furnace side. So for this inside unit, I'm going to take the cover off, and I have these taped. So if you don't have it taped, this switch is going to not trigger. And the next thing I'm going to check is if this is the condensate trap. So all the condensate from the cooling coil is down here, and then there is a pump that pumps the water out. Now if there is any problem with this pump and the condensate pump, then there is a switch that triggers. This switch is going to trigger not to turn the AC on. So I'm going to pop this out and just check, and it looks like I have a lot of water. So I'm going to clean this condensate trap, and then I'm going to try it. Sometimes these condensate traps get dirty, and I just cleaned it out and there was water in there. So you can see there are some sediments in there, and those does not pick up the water. So it's very easy. You can just pop it out, and usually if you can clean this up, your furnace should work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trip this and reset the power on this, so we can try and see if the condensate trap was the problem. And I believe that's the problem. So I'm going to turn the power back on, and I'm going to start the cooling. I'm going to set it to cool on the thermostat. It is set to 73. Now it is 79. you could see that this switch got triggered and the air compressor is back on, and now the voltage between these two are going to be 240 volts and my air conditioner is working. So if you have this problem with air conditioning not turning on, it might be most probably your capacitor is bad. In my case, though it's a 16-year-old capacitor, it's still working, and my problem was the condenser trap was full with water and that tripped the furnace. I have other videos on repairing the HVAC units in my house, and we had massive flood with 7 feet of water. Everything was submerged in water, and I had replaced and repaired the HVAC parts with used parts. You will see a lot of videos on my channel, so you can subscribe to my channel, and if this was helpful you can click the like button, and if you have any comments you can comment on the video. I'll try to answer it. On a lighter note, the mouse had chewed through the manual that was inside here and all the instructions in here, so this has been pretty much its living quarters inside.